morning. Welcome to the community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed, and today is the 12th of March in 2026. And 6 years ago, I guess tomorrow, the world changed forever because that's when we went on lockdown. We thought we were all going to die. And so how far we have come. But that was March of 2020, right?
Yeah, 2020.
2020. And so it was this tomorrow would be, I guess, that anniversary. And that created our platform. We were on Zoom, and back then everybody was on Zoom. Everybody was on these boxes that we've come so accustomed to. And I just know that it saved a lot of time and mileage having to drive to places and get to connect with people that you wouldn't see on a regular basis. So welcome to the community briefing. We are coming up on, we're going into our 7th year, I guess. So we'll be entering our 6th year of the community briefing. It was born from the coronavirus outbreak and keeping everybody tuned to what was happening. And then I was brought in to brief people on the PPP. And I was the specialist. I was one of the guests like you were, Monique. And then 6 years later, I'm still here, but no longer talking about PPP. So my name is Gregory Sneed, CEO of Lifesaver Financial Services. And it's now my pleasure to bring to the virtual stage the queen of our community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Welcome, everyone. Glad you are. Yes, today is our anniversary for being here, bringing all this great information and people. The whole purpose of the community briefing is to bring people to you guys, our leaders, our stakeholders, those people that are making things happen. And we have a fabulous team, but it's an important platform because we have to be able to tell our own narratives, as we can see. And we have another pandemic that we're operating in right now. I just don't have a PPP loan to go along with it because we are actually in a pandemic right now. 6, 7 years later that we are. So we're waiting for the PPP loans right now. But thank you guys for joining us and continue to come. We're growing. And I hope to see us growing even more. And then we have everyone that always comes back. Hello, Rochelle and everyone. We have a fabulous team, as you just met Greg and Mr. Stephen Turner, who is the producer, and Ms. Robin Billups, who should be in shortly. And if she does get in time enough, she'll give you her thing. I am the co-director as well as the inspiration for the community briefing. In actuality, the Recycling Black Dollars used to do a monthly breakfast mixer for those of you that have attended that. And so the community briefing actually replaced that as well as it kept growing. And so that's who we are right now. But this platform is powered and sponsored by Recycling Black Dollars, as well as our monetary sponsors, Los Angeles LDC, Southern California Edison, Wells Fargo Bank, SoCal Gas, and PCR, and Urban Excellence. And we want to thank you all for for supporting us. And anyone else that wants to support us, please feel welcome to do so. So I'm going to be Robin right now since she's not here. Voting is vitally important to us right about now. So the midterms are coming up. We at the end of the presentation today, the show, Emma will let us know when they're going to have their town hall meetings. But guys, we got to clean house. The whole entire cabinet got to go. Not one. We can't have nobody left over. We need to get our country working for us. And right now we are in some dire need because of the war that's going on. I even heard yesterday we were at threat. I don't know what happened to that, but I heard that we were at threat. We were in threat as well. Next week, guys, on Monday, I will be at Sacramento for the legislation, I guess the coming together of our representatives. So we have an agenda and we'll be asking some questions. So with that, I am going to turn it back over to Greg. You're on mute.
Did that exactly. So, our guest today is Monique Ruff-Bell, and she is the Chief Program and Strategy Officer at TED. And you guys have heard a bunch about TED and TED Talks, so she'll share that with us. But she drives organizational transformation, and she's the Chief Program and Strategy Officer. 20 plus years of turning around organizations and scaling global communities. She has experience with the as an venture group, as a board member, also with TED conferences as that strategy officer. She has a lot of background. I'm not going to get into it all because I know you're on a tight time schedule. She went to St. Peter's University. That's in near Hoboken, Bergen, I think.
Yeah,
So.
Jersey,
Okay,
Jersey City.
Joyzy. You got to say Joyzy. So please join me in welcoming Monique Ruff-Bell.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Stephen, for inviting me here. I really appreciate that I get to kind of have this conversation with you. A lot of people don't know that TED is more than just TED Talks, and that this is a full-on, large-scale nonprofit organization. And I wanted to kind of share a little bit of background on myself, as well as what TED is. And then I know there's a burning question about how do you give a TED Talk and all of that good stuff. And so I absolutely will kind of cover that as well. And then happy to leave the last 5 minutes or so for any questions, comments, or anything about the presentation. I have only 10 slides. You know, sometimes when we say we're going to do slides, people think it's going to be like 100 slides, 10 slides to keep me kind of focused, and I don't want to forget to cover anything. So just give me 1 second to set this up. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yep, up to the top in the middle, slideshow.
Yes, yes. Moving around a couple of things
All right.
to do this. All right, here we go. Okay. So yeah, Chief Program and Strategy Officer. What does that exactly mean at TED? So TED has been around since 1984. A lot of people don't know that, because people didn't know about TED until YouTube came on the scene, and that was around 2004. And that is when our chairman at the time, Chris Anderson, who actually purchased TED from a private entity. So before it was a nonprofit, it was a for-profit private entity. And it was just basically a conference program. It was a conference that was held basically every year. Well, he was like, this is such amazing content. Why are we just keeping this bottled up to ourselves? It was a very premium experience. It was an expensive experience to kind of participate in. And he wanted to give the content away to the world for free. And so that's when you started to see TED Talks come onto the scene digitally. And basically, it all starts with a conference. And for me, my background is I oversee 4 departments within TED, their global events program, as well as their TEDx licensing program. So some people ask me what's the difference between TED and TEDx. TED is the entity that owns the licensing for TEDx. If someone wants to host a TED conference in their city, in their region, they have to apply to us to get that license in order to do that. So we don't actually execute the event, the licensee holder does. They are purely a volunteer. They do not get paid. They cannot make money. So people are actually doing this for the love of spreading ideas. We do put the content on the TED platform. So, of course, it is a game changer for people, regardless if you join a TED event or a TEDx event, to have your content on our platforms. So I oversee that part of the business, as well as the events that we actually oversee and manage, as well as all of sales partnerships for the organization and all of marketing. So pretty meaty things that happen over at TED. And I've been at TED going on, it's about 4.5 years now. And I've been in the business for over 26 years, so 1999, starting in the media association and publishing business. Then moved on to Ringling Brothers Circus and Disney on Ice, doing promotions and events for that. So I ran away with the circus, as I like to say. And then moved on to more media companies, leading larger conference portfolios domestically and internationally. Then became vice president of one of the largest fintech trade shows in the world called Money 2020, which is based in Las Vegas. And then Ted poached me from over there, and I was Ted's head of events here, and then grew into becoming their chief strategy officer. So that has been kind of my career journey, all of it done with intention, all of it done with I need to think about what's my next thing and how I'm going to grab these certain skill sets in order for me to be attractive for the next thing. And so far, so good. But here is the background on TED, who we are. We are a mission-based nonprofit. We are a team of over 225 employees based all around the world. Our TED Talks are mostly filmed 99.9% at our conferences. So we do events is our largest part of our portfolio. We make our revenue from events, but mostly also from media. As you know, we are on multiple different platforms that we house our TED Talks. We have our own website, but of course, we're big on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. So definitely in various different platforms. And then we also offer business solutions. So that is another thing about ideas. We work with learning and development within corporations. We have a TED education arm where we work with school systems. We actually do training on public speaking as well, and TED at Work collaborations. So we have over half a dozen different business arms that sit under TED. So our views are over 2.5 billion views of our TED Talks year over year. We have 180 million followers across our various platforms. Our TEDx program this year alone was hosted in 4,500 different TEDx events globally. And so we are out there in the world. We are well known and we are a very strong brand there. So how does TED work? Unlike a typical conference, which is what most people are familiar with when we say conferences, TED is not a conference, even though we call ourselves a conference. It's a very different type of experience. And it's one of the things, we've brought one of our conferences to Atlanta. We've been there for 3 years. And our last one was recently in November. We had something called TED Next. And this is where a lot of our TED Talks are filmed, but also a lot of our partnerships are made. And so, how does TED work? First of all, we have a full-time staff that goes, we call them our editorial team, that goes to find people to give TED Talks. And so there's two ways. You can submit to speak. We have a nomination form, but most of our TED Talks that are produced by what I say the corporate office, by the teams here, it's via our editorial team who goes out to find those people to speak. And curation is, of course, a big part of it. We fact check everything, number one. So we are not just creating content slop like with AI slop that's happening in the world. We want to fact check what we're producing. So that has built a lot of trust within the world for TED's content. And just because you are chosen as a speaker, it doesn't work as a typical conference where you're a speaker, you have your presentation or your talk, and you just show up. You go through our speaker training for multiple months at a time because it is very hard to give a TED Talk in the format that is required. And people are very used to sharing a lot of different ideas at once. And we're all about one idea and making sure that you have a story wrapped around that one idea. So that's one part, a big part of TED. The next one is the production. Our production quality is like broadcasting, Broadway type quality. So we invest a lot in the production of our content. The next thing is distribution. We give away the free, but you got to pay for the free. It ain't free to do the free. And so that's why we have other business lines that feed into us helping to produce the content and the experiences that we do so that it allows us to do the free and put this on other platforms. So distribution is a very big part of our monetization and revenue that we bring into the organization. We are a community. We are all about community. We're about connection. We're about connectivity. There our big conference, you have to apply to attend. You just don't automatically buy a ticket. So we have different formats on how people can join a TED experience. And one of the big things about the application process for our biggest conference is it's about keeping certain people out, then it's about letting certain people in. And what I mean by that is the TED experience is not a transactional experience. Nobody cares about your title. I have people who were the titans of industry, of course, Bezos and um, other big billionaires have gone and been a part of TED and come to the conference and things like that. But I also have activists. I have people who are, managers in different organizations. I have entrepreneurs. I have VCs. So you have all of these different cross-pollination of people who are coming and shedding the representative. Nobody's going to ask you what you do or anything like that. They're going to be like, did you just hear that? What did you just learn? How are you just motivated and inspired? It's about community connection. So when people apply to that conference, we have certain questions set up to see if you're going to be transactional in nature. And if that is what you're going to be, you're not allowed to come because that's not what our programs are about. It's about inspiration, motivation, hope, and optimism, and kind of creating very comfortable environments for that. And last but not least, we're about education. So another thing is we do a lot of teaching. We just launched something called TED Law. So with everything that's going on in the world, the legal sphere is ripe for disruption, and there's a lot of things that need to happen. And so we're bringing certain people to the forefront to talk about how we can handle what is happening in the world from that perspective. But we also have TED Ed, which a lot of your children, grandchildren, or what have you, have probably interacted with TED content through our TED education program because we are in thousands of schools, as well as we are online. We host a lot of animations and production elements. We do public speaking for children and teenagers. We have something called TED Summer School, which are immersive programs. So TED does an awful lot. Here are just the three flagship conferences. Like I said, we do over 4,500 events, but the three big events are our Big TED, which is usually in Vancouver, but we're moving it after next year to San Diego. We're coming back to the USA. And so the first week of March of 2027, we are moving Big TED, which is what we call it, into San Diego. Then also we talk about climate change and climate solutions, and we actually host a very large conference on climate change, and that moves around. That is biannual. We were in Kenya this past year. 2 years before that, we were in Detroit. We were in different places that are being highly affected by climate change, and so we host a large conference around that. And then, of course, how Stephen came to know me is through TED Next and us hosting this conference in Atlanta, and it is one of our premier conferences on the future you. So what we were discovering is that we highlight and platform the builders, the people who are actually have created certain types of work. But how do you become the builder? How do you find community to help elevate you in that way? And so that's why TED Next was created to kind of be that hub for that. And so this is just more information of what we just had at TED Next this past year. We were at the GWCC and Hotel Signia, and that is the place where we are going to be hosting our conference in the future. We haven't put our dates together yet for that, but these were just some of the speakers that were included, some well-known names, of course, some Atlanta staples and things like that. So we really do pull from the Atlanta region for quite a few of our talks for that conference. And, we're trying to create a home and a hub in Atlanta for this particular conference. So the TED Talk process, I know that is a big thing. And what I tell people all the time is a lot of people have really good ideas, or a lot of people are really good at storytelling and telling their stories. But the thing is that TED is very different from just you sharing your story because we have thousands and thousands of people who probably have a similar story to you that we've already shared on our platform, and we don't want to be repetitive with our content. So what is really important about how you kind of nominate yourself or want to come to the table for TED is you always start with the idea. It's not the story. It's the idea. Your idea has to be attractive to that little girl that's in Bangladesh, country far, far away. And so I always tell people you have to think about the idea. The story is the wrapper. So these are just some of the key things Chris kind of highlights for people when it comes to wanting to share a TED Talk. It's one idea only. We don't want you to talk about 10 different ideas. It's the one idea because your talk is only 12 to 18 minutes long. Sometimes we even do 5-minute talks. So you have to have a very short and punchy idea. Next thing is the story takes them on the journey about the idea you're trying to share. And then the next thing is you have to make it worthwhile. If the story just sounds good to you, it's not worth sharing on a global platform. It's about giving the audience a real gift about how they can think differently and move differently in the world. And then you have to connect before you share. So what you're seeing on our TED Talks is a lot of people use their personal journey, their personal stories, because that signals warmth, openness, and vulnerability. And so those are key things that you wrap around a TED Talk. It's about a story, it's about humanity, and then it's highlighting the idea, not just the story. And so what we have, like I said, we have a full-time editorial team that goes out and find people to give TED Talks, but we also have a nomination process where anyone could submit. It's open to all. So far, we've had 20,000 people come through our nomination process. It's very competitive because a lot of people want to give TED Talks. We only have 40 slots here, 80 slots here. So it's not like a whole lot of slots for these thousands and thousands of people who try to nominate themselves and have a full-time editorial team going out to find people to speak. So it's not an easy process. And so this is kind of the standard: the nominate, the curate, the develop, the rehearse. You take the stage, then we kind of share it with the world. What I like to tell people is you probably want to start with the TEDx community first because it's less competition. It's based in your city, it's based in your region. They're trying to highlight certain regional talks first. And so we have a list of all of the TEDx's that are in the entire world that sit on our website. It tells you who those organizers are. So you'll probably go to that TEDx event website, and that's where you probably want to start and learn, or at least engage. Go to your first TEDx event if you don't come to a TED Global event. But that's kind of where you want to kind of learn the ins and outs about what works for a TED Talk. Because what happens in person is very different than what you see on YouTube. You see an edited version of a TED Talk. You're not, it's very different when you're in the conference because I have a session that's an hour and a half long and we're highlighting 10 TED Talks in that one session, back to back to back, speaking to that theme. And so I'm able to do 88 TED Talks at a conference because of how it's laid out. So it's not just you kind of looking and thinking, okay, that's just how you do a TED Talk from what you see from YouTube. You really should attend a TED event and to really understand what it takes to produce and put on a TED Talk. And so here is the link to the speaker nomination form. And this is kind of basically how you go to our TEDx events. So if you want to grab a quick picture of this, or if Stephen, you want me to send you this deck after this talk so you can share it with that's fine. But these are the different ways you can nominate yourself or someone that you know. And like I said, don't copy and paste the keynote description or talk. It's going to get ignored. It's not about that. They're looking for something different. They're looking for something unique. They're looking to understand the idea. And you might think you have the best story in the world and you just don't know how to write it to let us know that it's one of the best stories in the world. So you really have to take your time when you're putting in for this nomination form. But like I said, it's less competition with the local TEDx events than it is on the global platform. And so that's everything that I wanted to share about TED. We are more than just TED Talks. We are an actual nonprofit global business that offers different programming and initiatives outside of just a talk. We feel every great idea deserves a global stage. We are an ideas platform, not just a storytelling platform. So that's really important to differentiate that there. And that anybody can speak, anybody can come to our conferences if they put in an application or they just buy a ticket. Some of my conferences are $12,500 to come to. Some of the conferences are $2,000 to come to. Some of them are $100 or $50 to come to. So it all depends on kind of what type of experience. The higher the cost is, the absolute more premium experience that it is. The one in Atlanta, our starting ticket price is $2,200. It's 3 days long. It goes all the way up to $2,800. So that is basically it. I'm going to stop sharing, but I'm happy for the next couple of minutes to answer any questions or comments about the presentation.
Quick question. So TED wasn't short for Theodore. What was TED? How did the name TED come up?
So for the conference, it was around technology, entertainment, and design. So that's what TED is for.
Gotcha. And San Diego, how did you guys select San Diego? Because you guys really was Vancouver, I think, right? Or Canadian, and then
yeah, for the past 11 years, we've been in Vancouver. TED started in California, so we started in Monterey, Long Beach, California, and then we moved to Vancouver. And for 2 years, me and my team were on a quest because you have to move your conferences around to refresh, to be able to change things. Certain people start to have ownership over certain things and they like things a certain way. And it's not always easy to change unless you kind of change the location. And so we're always refreshing and thinking about doing things different and decided we needed to go on our quest to find our next location. And San Diego became that location for the simple fact that they doubled down on community. The destination is playing a big part in helping us to market and participate in our conferences. And it gives us more space to grow. We've been thinking, do we want to have an ideas festival instead of just an ideas conference? And they are used to doing citywides. And so in the future, if that's where we want to go, we have the space and the opportunity to do that in San Diego.
Got it. And then did I catch you in the beginning? Do you have a hard stop for today?
Yeah, I have 2 to 3 more minutes though.
Okay, Crystal, I usually pay attention to the speaker and don't look at the chat. So if you could grab from the chat, if anybody had a burning question or if you have something, Crystal, so it's over to you. Crystal, you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. My computer is fighting me. No, TED Talks for a lot of speakers or those that wanted to really become a amazing speaker. TED Talk has been their entry to that. It's like life changing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. People get discovered. Brene Brown, who's very big motivational speaker, was discovered at a TEDx talk. She didn't even come. She wasn't even a speaker for our global platform. And so that's why I said whether you come in through TED or TEDx, once you hit that platform, it could absolutely change your life from getting thousands and also millions of views on your talk.
Did Stacey Abrams also go through it?
Stacey Abrams, yep, she had a talk for our TED Women Conference.
Awesome. What is the time factor once you guys narrow down that little 5-7 minute narrative or 12-minute narrative? What is the time commitment for those individuals that are interested in that?
If you're selected to be a speaker, usually, we're selecting speakers months in advance. And once you're in, you're going through those months of connecting with our speaker team, going through speaker training. You have to have a script. So you actually have to write out your entire talk. And then that is edited down between the speaker trainers and yourself. And then it's about repetitiveness. And people get very intimidated by the stage. Not going to lie about that, and going out and, so there's rehearsals and feeling comfortable about being in that particular space, but it could be months at a time.
Oh, wow. And you said there was a cost. What's the cost factor?
Speakers, there's no cost. For attendees, there's a cost. So if you're coming to a conference, you have to pay for the registration fee.
So
cost is the time you give up to prepare for it.
Yeah, so if you're selected, you're getting like a very multi-million-dollar training
Yeah.
if you were going through a coach. We have earlier before we actually got started, and someone, Karen, welcome Karen, put it in the chat. Zanetta Smith, and also I think Rashonda. They run the TEDx South Central here in Los Angeles. It debuted, I think, about 10 years ago. I remember the very first one, Rashonda coming out and talking to us. So anybody interested, I guess. So is that process a little less intimidating than the big stage?
No, I don't think I think TED as a brand is just such a known entity that people understand, and the premiumness of that and participating in that is it the production level is different, right? Because these are volunteers and they have to
Right.
raise the money in order to host that event where we're different. We have different types of avenues and revenue in order to put on our events. So that's basically the difference of it. But being, a part of TED in any form or fashion is going to be, a big deal for someone.
So TEDx is a pathway to get to TED.
It can be. It's not guaranteed, but it can be.
I mean, yeah, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Back to you, Greg or Stephen.
Well, I think that's the end for me as
Oh,
well.
okay,
Yeah, I
sorry.
think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So, thank you so much again for inviting me. I hope I kind of gave you some good information. Like I said, if Stephen wants to share the deck, happy to send that to him so he can do
Oh
that.
yeah, please do. We would appreciate that because there are a number of people. I've even been interested in it myself. I just got to clear my schedule so I can focus.
And connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So that is always open as well. I always post what's happening within TED worlds and other worlds. And so feel free to do that. So thank you so much. I
All
hope you have
right,
a great
thank you.
day.
Come back and visit us
Monique.
again.
Will do. All right. Bye bye.
Awesome, awesome. Any takers here? Anybody has a burning desire to be a TED Talk
I have
speaker?
to make a suggestion, even though she wasn't able to join. Wendy Glatney and I had a conversation over the weekend, and I guess I'm nominating her.
Oh, Wendy would be excellent. She would be
What, what do you
phenomenal.
think, Sarah? As well as Sarah Harris.
Yeah, Sarah Harris, you would be fantastic. Who else do I see on here? Renee. I see
Kimberly.
Karen A. Clark would be a
Thank you,
phenomenal.
Stephen.
You
You
know,
know,
let's
I and Karen A. Clark would love to do it. I've been trying to come up with that one damn good idea. I got a lot to talk about, but shit, what's that one good idea? That's that's the
Karen,
hard part.
it's like coming up with a book especially you're in the coaching world, right? So you have, I mean, it's not like we're the only people out here. So how do
Right,
you come up with
exactly.
an idea or a book idea that's not like routine
Exactly.
in everybody? I get you.
I watch TED Talks all the time. I'm like, damn, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that one?
Well, actually, your world is a little. You could do something like that because you crossed over from music into commercial and then back to music. I think you could come up with a fantastic idea.
Well, thank you for the encouragement. I'm gonna noodle on that.
Yeah, noodle on that. Yeah, your no bad life as a child in a military family. I think you got a lot of little nuggets.
So a quick poll, maybe use it, raise the hand. How many of you are really comfortable in public speaking? You? How many are
I
absolutely
am.
scared to death of public speaking?
Oh, I
Public
know
speaking
Edwin
is
didn't
still
just
the
raise
number
his
one
hand.
fear.
You scared to death? No, Edwin. Edwin has a good story. He could be a TED. I think so.
The problem is narrowing it down to one subject matter.
I have a comment.
Yeah, that is an issue. Yeah, just being able to noodle in on that one thing.
Renee has a comment.
Who had a comment?
Renee.
Renee.
I have a friend, Dr. Ama Ray, who is a professor of dance at UCI, and she did a TED Talk, and the whole thing was dance. She danced through the whole conversation. It was fabulous and so creative. I hadn't seen anything like that before, but she was wonderful.
See what I
So
mean?
anywhere
Damn,
you
that's brilliant.
go,
Why didn't I think of that?
Right. Karen A. Clark.
So, Edwin, what was your first shot at public speaking? Do you recall?
You're on mute.
It's managing the temptations.
No, well, I was in high school and I was the senior class president, and I was doing a presentation to the faculty of the high school. So that was my very first public speaking. I fell in love with it from there, and then when I went to college, I took a class in public speaking and impromptu speaking, and it became natural to me. It's something I love doing.
Hmm. I started off. I was on college radio in some time ago, and it was easy because you didn't see the audience. You're just talking to a microphone, and they hear your voice, but you're not there on stage. You don't have to worry about what you look like or what you were wearing, what you were dressed, that kind of thing. And then I think my next foray I was a co-chair of a fundraising at First AME Church, and the chair didn't show up. He was either caught in traffic or something like that. So I then had to do the presentation. And that was standing in front, back then it was good, 1,200, 1,300 people in the church. And, that was frightening. I was, shaking in my boots then, but once you get it past that, then, it's tough. But public speaking, when you list fears, like the top 10 fears, speaking in front of is it number one? It's very high up there. Joseph saying it's up to number one.
The survey I saw said it was number one, and death was number two.
Wow.
Yeah, it's up there. Wow. It's up there really, really high. Public speaking and get in front of it. So now it doesn't bother me. You still get a little nervous, and obviously, if you've had a chance to prepare, at least from my standpoint, it's easier. But how many have you done? What's the speaking program?
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters. That's right. Anybody have done Toastmasters?
Yes, yes. I've competed.
Okay.
Karen, you did, and who else? Hand went up. Anybody want to share about that experience with the Toastmasters?
Yeah, we used to have a number of Toastmasters. I don't know how many, some of them, like Glenda Brass is a Toastmaster instructor, Norma Hollis, but they've all kind of moved out of Los Angeles right about now. There's a couple of them out there. There's a couple of, there is one, I think, in Inglewood, if anybody is looking to improve their speaking presence. The best thing about TED Talk is the tabletop talks that you can just get off, just right off the cuff, which makes to me, that takes away some of the scariness, because if you're knowledgeable of the topic and the subject or passionate about that, it takes away from the internal kind of nervousness. At least that's what I thought. I cannot remember my first one. I would imagine my first one was when I taught something in front of a class. And I know as RBD, being the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, I've been asked to speak in some cases off the cuff, right off the moment. Sometimes I've actually feel that I've been that Muhammad has invaded me, and he's the one that's speaking, because I was speaking somewhere, and afterwards, everybody stood up and clapped, and then the reporter said, "Can you repeat that?" I'm like, "No, I can't." You should have recorded it, dude, because I can't tell you what I talked about. So that kind of happens, but it requires a lot of reading, in my opinion. I think the more well-read you are, the easier it is to do. Would you agree, Edwin?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I have to say this. I thrive off of audience participation,
Me
right?
too.
When I'm speaking, if the audience is engaged, or if I can see watching their body movements and their facial expressions that I'm on the right track, it just adds to my ability to speak in a way that's going to be profound to them. If it's a stoic crowd and they're just sitting there and they're not giving you any feedback, that's tough. Or if it's a totally negative crowd where they're just not feeling what you're saying, in fact, they don't like it at all, that's tough also.
I did a
Yeah, it is.
financial literacy training class for teens, and that was tough because their attention span was very short. There was three different groups, and two of them were good. The third one was I had two disruptors in the class, and I had to go New York on them a little bit. uh, I said, Karen, I think you said about, you know what? That would be a good, Stephen, Chris, we find somebody that does Toastmasters to
Okay,
invite them to come
I do
on.
know a couple of people. I can find someone that can come out and talk. I think Dr. Rosie actually is Toastmasters as well. She does the Black Writers on Tour. I just put the flyer in book tour. I think she as well. There's a couple of people out there that used to come to RBD meeting all the time.
Also, we have a guest, Dr. Frances Young, who's a potential TED talk. I think her pitch was teaching teachers how to teach.
Oh,
Dr. Francis, can you tell us a little bit more about that? She's on mute.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a few hands went up saying that you would just absolutely be deathly afraid of getting in front of a large group of people. And by large, I'm thinking, 15, 20 plus, or 100 or 1,000 people. Imagine being in front of 1,000 people. That I think, as some of you would say, was absolutely no way, unless a pot full of money was on the table. Even then, maybe not, right?
well,
You
have
know,
you
Uh,
ever had any aspirations to be, a entertainer, speaker, singer, dancer, actress, especially an actor or actress? That's all part of it. The first introduction, I think I did a class. This was before Les Brown became the big Les Brown that he is. I think I did a class with Les Brown somewhere with somebody. And he always tells a story. So that's kind of how you get started, is with a
yeah.
story that gets people laughing. I actually like talking to kids because you just have to be on their level. So you come, or you not be on their level and you say something like old people say, and then that's it. You break the ice with them when you say something that old people say, and then they're just like all over you at that point. So that's how
Yeah.
you kind of grab them. Go
yeah,
ahead,
I
Joseph.
would. I would, by the time I joined Toastmasters, I was pretty well on my way in terms of public speaking, but I would highly recommend Toastmasters to anybody who's afraid to speak, or, as Crystal said, if you want to improve. It is absolutely amazing program, and it meets you where you are, no matter where you are. And then the other thing I would say about speaking, a good tip I learned from someone long, long, long time ago. If you're going to speak somewhere, or even entertain or perform, get there, get to the venue, get to the place early, right? And just, work the crowd, network, shake hands. You don't have to tell people, don't even tell people to speak or anything. You're just
Mm-mm.
there, right? And so by the
Mm-hmm.
time you get on that stage, people are like, oh shit. They're rooting for you because you've been out there, and it's like, oh shit, I didn't know she or he was a speaker, and they're
Mm-hmm.
rooting for you. And so then you do get those, friendly smiles. And the other thing is that typically, no matter how scared you are, most of the audience is rooting for you, though, because many of them are afraid to get up there. And so they're already applauding the fact that you are up there, and they want you to win. And then the last thing I'll say, Crystal, I also, way back in the day when I was with Bank of America, I took a class with Les Brown. He's one of my favorite speakers of all time. And he shares the story. One of you said you were on the radio. Was that you, Greg? He
Yeah.
was, yeah, he actually worked in a radio station, couldn't get on
Mm-hmm.
the air. He cleaned up, he did whatever he could do just to be in that space.
Yeah,
And
he's
one
told that
night,
story. Yeah.
yeah, one
Yeah.
night the guy called out, the guy couldn't come in, the guy that was supposed to be on the air. And Les Brown told the general, I can do it, I can do it. And that was, even though he wasn't, even though, like you said, he was just a voice on the air, that was his big break.
He was
Yeah.
practicing beforehand, so he was seeing
Yes.
himself doing it
Yeah.
before the opportunity came, and that's part of it. Is doing that. And Joseph, I'll get to you in just a moment. What was challenging initially, and actually, I was on a call with through Toastmasters, and the challenge is when we first started here with the Zoom, you've got everybody's on mute, or most of the people are on mute. And oftentimes, a good chunk of the people there, you're just seeing the name and a black square. I call it the Hollywood squares. You've got the squares on here, and you just see a box, and everybody's muted. So if you tell a joke, nobody laughs, or if you ask for participation, you're not getting any feedback. So this guy who was one of the Toastmasters, he's a Toastmaster trainer, so he trains people to do Toastmaster. He was saying how you have to change your give me a like or give you a hand or some of those techniques to do engaging. But it's for me doing this on with everybody muted is tougher than being on a stage with live people. For me, it was a tougher adjustment. Joseph, over to you. You have a question?
I cannot be the only one in here who was put up to speak in front of church at like 5 or 6 years old. I know some of the rest of you had to go through that childhood trauma. So that led me to start overcoming fear at a pretty early age. I went through student government. I went through impromptu speaking. I've been through debate. I've done pretty much everything you can do in terms of public speaking. And some of you know I do a lot of it now, and I don't have any problem, any fear or concern. I actually look forward to those opportunities. But one of the things that I learned, and I preach this to clients all the time, the people who are sitting there don't know what you're trying to do. They only know what you did. So whatever comes out, they're going to judge based on that. So if you do it with confidence and comfort, even if you didn't hit all the points you wanted to hit, or mention everything that you wanted to mention, or get all the participation that you wanted to get, they don't know any of that. They only know what you accomplished, not what you were trying to do. So a lot of times that's a good technique to overcome the nerves. Because if you stop worrying about what if I forget to say this, or what if I say something that doesn't come out quite right, remember, they don't know what it was going to be anyway.
Yeah, they don't. They have no idea. I think I'm more comfortable with getting up on a stage doing public speaking. But in the beginning, when I first launched, when Gilbert and I first in a studio did the business zone, and it was my idea, and then I got there, and you can't see anything at all. I mean, it's like radio, right? You can't see anything, so you're just talking to empty peat. You're just talking to a wall, and you're not getting any feedback. That the first couple of times that was horrible. And then finally they got a TV monitor and I could at least see myself and I could talk into that. And then after that it was, just pretty easy. But Karen, you're absolutely right. Have used that. Get there early and start chit-chatting with people and finding out about them, and you incorporate a few of the comments, a few of the conversations that you've had into your presentation. You at least got that group. And other than that, bring your mama and your people that love you at your house, your home, and bring them and sit them right in the front, and you just stare at them while you're doing it, and they'll be clapping and cheering you on. That was some of the things I used in the very beginning when I learned to speak in public. But now it's just no big deal. It's just secondhand. It's just part of speaking anywhere else. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyone else?
Now, please allow me to introduce Dr. Francis, talking about teaching teachers how to teach. Dr. Francis.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I find pleasure in the entire conversation that I'm listening to. This is fantastic. So let me just say, teaching teachers how to teach,
Ooh.
um, I would say has been a blessing by trade. I'm a retired curriculum director who also served as a professional learning director within a public school system. And so it was my daily due to be able to get up, work with administrators, teach teachers what worked for me, and give them a twist on how it could work for them. So I would say that I could relate to what Edwin was saying earlier. It's about, being able to have that captive audience and at the same time knowing how to hook them. So before I hit the stage or as I hit the stage, I'm already thinking about, how I'm going to pull them in and have them be interactive in what I have to say. So yeah, I've had some good successful experiences, as I've moved around the country and being able to talk to teachers and get them to understand there's something important in being able to build that relationship, within that classroom, and then use those strategies that can give them, the bang for their bucks. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'm now starting an LLC teaming with teachers, just to play off that so that I can assist, yes, in being of service to teachers. So thank you for the opportunity to talk.
That's pretty awesome because I don't know about you guys, but the teachers that I resonated with and today I can still remember them. They were those profound teachers, and I think I only have like three. One being my kindergarten teacher, I can actually see her, and I know she's gone off to heaven. Um, and my very, very first black teacher when I was in sixth grade, his name was Mr. Patterson. I will never forget Mr. Patterson, but it was just something about them. So there's really only been in elementary, secondary school, one in college, and three in the elementary school. The rest of them I can't even tell you their names. And one guy is counselor, and I remember who they are. So teachers that really can grab the attention of a student and they will remember them for the rest of their lives. That's a darn good teacher in my opinion.
Crystal, please allow me to add this. It goes right along with what you're saying. My very first teacher was named Mrs. Buck. And my very first presentation with teachers was we cannot afford to pass the buck because it
Ah,
was way
wow.
too easy for us to blame, the parents or the community, just their environment. There were just so many excuses and so many reasons for us not to take on the responsibility that we signed up for. It was our duty, and it
Right.
should have been the children's privilege to be in our presence, but we could not pass the buck.
Yeah, exactly. And that's profound in today's world because a lot of kids are just not getting that. They're not resonating with their teachers that way. Any of you guys remember your teachers in elementary, kindergarten? Renee says she does. I remember my kindergarten teacher. Yeah. Nobody else? Wow. Y'all
I
so
Well,
remember
I remember
kindergarten.
my
patient.
third grade. I remember my third grade teacher. Her name was Miss James, and I moved from New Orleans, Louisiana to Los Angeles in the third grade, and somehow this woman identified the fact that I needed a little bit of motivation to come out of a shell that I created for myself. It's kind of a safety net. And to this day, things that she taught me, it still sticks with me.
Yeah, it's that teacher that just leads it. And I've had kids that have told me with the entrepreneur program, there's a couple, and Dr. Young, you will resonate with this. When I have kids and I'm teaching them how to present their business plan, and then they come in for the second round, and then I'll emphasize something that that would grab the audience attention. And then if I walk out the room and come back and then I hear my words come out their mouth, oh my God, it's just like a heady experience. And I get that a lot. I'm teaching them, and even in class, and you're thinking they're not paying attention because you're telling them to be quiet and so da da da. And then when they get up there to present and you hear your words spit back at you, you're like, oh my God, they got it. So that's a pretty amazing experience as well for teaching young people. Young people are really great to teach because they pull it back. Adults, I get people, and Greg, you said this on Zoom. So, if you're doing a class, a webinar, you can't see anybody, right? So they only know you. So I'll go out in public, and I was in Albertsons last night, and I was walking down to go get some water, and this young lady said, Crystal. And I looked at her, and I don't know who she was. And she goes, I was in one of your accounting classes with Vermont Slauson, and are you still with them? Can I schedule an appointment? And I'm like, wow. I hadn't seen her because she was behind the black boxes. And so, or she wasn't even visible because on webinars you can't see. So I get that a lot. People who have been on classes and said, oh, you were absolutely amazing. I was in class so and so and so and so with the New Women's Business Center. Oh, okay, that's nice. Thank you. So yeah, so that's just
Yeah, the
when you're out.
webinar is easy to get because you don't see anybody, and then when you have like we've got several people on camera today, but the challenge is when you've got like everybody is muted and just about everybody's off camera, so you just talking to you have no visual feedback, nothing, but they're there. With the webinar, you're just talking in general, so that one's a little more challenging with the Zoom.
I agree. I
Stephen, you
agree.
got your hands up. What's happening, Stephen?
Well, I'd like to, first of all, even though Monique is not here, to thank her for being on the program today, talking about TED Talks. And I think one of the things we should take in consideration is some of the leaders that we have in our community to have a platform for that. And with that being the case, next week, if you enjoyed today's segment, we have Tom Mueller, Dr. Tom Mueller, New York prize-winning journalist, is going to talk about the medical profession, the dark side, the good, the bad, the ugly. So please join us next week with Dr. Tom Mueller.
Awesome, awesome. I just posted in the chat, guys. There's a number of flyers there that you should take a note of. BizFed Institute is having a business access to funding summit, and I just got off with Kevin a little while ago, and he's super excited about this one. It's next Thursday. It does conflict with us, but we'll be okay if you're going to see Kevin. I think you're going there, right, Greg? Are you
Ooh,
representing us
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Okay, so Greg will be over there. The other thing that I posted is Dr. Rosie for any artists, book authors. She's having her Black Writers on Tour in April. I believe it's the last weekend of April. She's been doing this for years and years and years. So these are all the Black writers. Dr. Rosie actually has a publishing company. So any of you that are writing a book and want to get your book published, and she can help you put it together the publishing way. And so she's going to be there. So that flyer's there. Biz Camp. Any of you guys got young people? We are taking reservations like right now. And so if you got some young people, nieces, nephews, children, grandkids, the neighbors' kids, whoever, just have them send that flyer over to them. This camp is a fabulous way for kids to learn to speak and also publicly speak and also be able to put together a business idea. Right now, the two areas that we need to be focused on for our children is um, uh, entrepreneurship and AI. Our kids need to be prepared for the future. And I'll get right with you, Emma. Next is No Kings Rally. We're gonna have at the end next month or yeah next next week or 2 weeks from now. There's a group of seniors, they retired, and they were sitting around and having a conversation saying, you know what? We need to do something. And so one of them's grandkids came up to him and said, "Hey, Granddad, what you gonna do? What are you going to do for us in this world right now that is really crazy? What is your position on this?" And so a bunch of there's like 40 of them. They're all retired business owners, and they got together, and so now they're working that space in the Ladera, Baldwin Hills, and View Park area. So they're having a No Kings rally up at Norman, the park right there up above Ladera. And then finally, for the women, and we're going to celebrate our women this month because it is Women's History Month. And BMO is celebrating you by providing a women's grant. They're accepting applications as of April 1st, I was told today, and 15 grants of 10,000 each for small business owners. Any business under 5 million. I know we got a number of women here going to be a little competitive with only 15 grants. But please, guys, go over, click that link right now and find out the details. And 10 grand, I think you got to take some classes, but that's an easy 10 grand if you got to take a few classes and do 10 hours of counseling. That's an easy 10 grand. And for your business, this is not a loan, this is a grant. So go on over there and check it out. And also, Hello Alice has a grant out there for 10 grand as well. I think they're giving up to, um, it's between 50,000, let's see, from 10,000 up to $50,000 or $100,000. I think it just changed. And so if you're interested in that, let me know about that one as well. And back to now, it's over to you, Emma, and I'll close out the day.
Okay. I have a special guest that's here today, Russell Laurie. I'm on the board of the California African American Water Education Foundation. I've been a member for 3 years, and I've been trying to get someone from the foundation to come and speak. I wanted him to share just something about our program that we're doing to introduce African Americans and get them involved in water. And whether you're an engineer or whatever, but we are having, and there's a lack of African Americans participating in water. So if you don't mind, can Russell introduce himself and give you a little information?
Sure. And then Stephen can take it from there for him to actually be a guest. Go
Yeah, I
ahead,
want him,
Russell.
I recognize, thank
Russell.
you, Ms. Maxey. I recognize we're at the end of the agenda, so I will keep it very brief. I see many friends and familiar faces, Mr. Lombard, who's I walk in those footsteps that he laid the way. I'm the executive director for the California African American Water Education Foundation, and we exist because the diversity in the water industry does not reflect the diversity of California that receives and depends on the safe, reliable, affordable drinking water. And so it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It provides thousands of good-paying jobs that you can get. You don't have to have a degree in order for the vast majority of the jobs, and you can earn a good wage that can provide for a family. And what we've done, rather than complain about it, what I love about this group is we've started workforce development programs, outreach and education. We're recruiting Black people into the industry and into those jobs with some specifics, with dollars attached. So I'll keep it brief. There's detail on all those programs and specifically how we do it, but that's who we are and what we care about.
Awesome. So Stephen can actually reach out to you and get you on the show so you can be not so brief. How about that?
Yeah. Thank you, Russell.
So Russell, if
We'll
you put
get the information to you.
Yeah, put
And
your information there in the chat for Stephen.
Okay.
And the last thing before we go, celebrating Black women. If you guys see that flyer right there, there are some amazing women that we all know. One being Miss Emma Maxey and Angela Gibson Shaw and Vicky Hopper Hall. Actually, she is the reason that the resource guide gets printed every year from Northrop. And then we have Miss Pat Click. She's been on here. I don't know of the other two ladies, but I'd say everybody go grab a ticket so we can honor our ladies that are always in our community, working hard and doing all the things that that make our lives better. So that's with the BBA. So you guys, there's flyers there. So click on those flyers, download them onto your computer, and then go over there and register and participate because that's what it's about, us supporting each other in our endeavors. And Mika, we want to say hello to you. We haven't seen you in a while. Edwin, keep coming back. And Charles, Carl, you didn't say anything, but hello over there to you. And I think Stephen's gonna reach out to you too, Edwin. I'm
Please
gonna be
do,
over there in your
because
city.
yeah, please do. I've got a very important issue that we need to address, and I'd like to do a presentation on that and get some of you guys to join the coalition so we can fight this good fight.
All right, sounds good. So Stephen is writing you down. So thank you guys all for joining us today. We will see you all hopefully next week for Dr. Mueller. I think he's talking about that's the diabetes guy, right? He's going to give us some insight about diabetes, some actually from a black and white perspective, and he's going to talk about it that way. So
That should be sweet.
yeah, that should be very sugary, Greg. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you all this week. Have a fantastic time, and be careful out there, guys.
And tomorrow, wear your mask.
Wear your wear your mask. As I'm gonna take us off recording and.